Hello, welcome to another episode of The End of the Search. This one I call it the seeming stages of healing. Why I call it seeming? Because in reality, all that there is what is, and in the what is, there's no separation, no fragmentation, there's no stages per se. However, in our human experience, it seemed as if though sometimes there's a progressive, movement in our experience. So we seem to be in one space, in one specific consciousness or whatever you want to call it, state of mind. Let's use that. But then we seem to be moving through, you see, different stages in order to finally realize or recognize the nature of our being, which is always has been, but it's been overlooked, overshadowed. So in the human experience, usually happens like this. In the first stage, we are completely identified with the sense of individuality, with our conditioning, and some people live their whole life just like that. That's fine. Then the second stage would be when the sense of the individual, after experiencing all the pleasures and the pains of life, sometimes even achieving everything he or she wants, and find out that there's a sense of unfulfillment or suffering or whatever the case may be, leads them to seek help, you see. Now the help that they seek on the second stage is psychological help. In other words, is still identification with the sense of individual. They may go to a psychologist or a psychiatrist because they're trying to deal with the mind to see if they can somehow solve their problem, either by changing a belief for another one, or seeing what the thinking process is, so hopefully they can change it and the person may feel better. And that is helpful in a sense that the individual may come from either low self-esteem to a higher self-esteem and feels good about himself or herself and becomes a better citizen, put it this way. He can manage himself or herself in the world better. And some people remain in that stage for the rest of their seeming existence here, okay? Now, those who are on the second stage and they have achieved everything, I experienced what they want or whatever the case may be, or they have seek all the help possible and they still have a sense of lack of unfulfillment. That's when they usually go to the third stage. And the third stage is when they begin to explore spirituality. You see? Since the world of phenomena, the mind stuff, for some reason, the psychological aspect, it doesn't allow them to feel the happiness that so much is being talked about. And they seem to have everything and all the pleasure you can possibly think of, and they don't feel happy. They tend to go to spirituality. And in spirituality, well, they sometimes are introduced to maybe meditation or some of the practices that allows them to feel a bit better, you see, to calm the mind to the best of their abilities, because in the end the mind does what it does. But some people may remain on that stage for the rest of their existence while there seems to be in this body, you see. Now if you look at this way, all the three stages, we're going to the fourth in a minute, but all the three stages are designed to force you see, to get to the fourth stage, because what you are in essence is all there is, expansiveness, is totality, is just, what can you say? And the human experience is a limited experience. It's been very limited. So no matter how much stuff you may have or acquired or whatever, how much pleasure, it doesn't really matter. In the end, you still feel limited. I still feel limited, because the human experience is a limitation. So once I try the spiritual, that third stage, and I still find myself not fulfilled, that's when we're ready to the fourth stage. And the fourth stage is, previous to, let's say, the disappearance of all of this. That is a stage when now I get to know who I am by not identified with anything that I have learned in the past, not even from spirituality, not even from the first, second, or third stage. This is the moment when I'm ready to let go of everything, which is the invitation in these videos, to let go to everything completely, just let it all go. And that's when the obviousness of beingness is revealed. It's like, oh my God, my whole life I have always been. I have been my whole life. And I went through the stages of being a person, and the second stage being a better person, the third stage being a spiritual person, and now I am nobody because I have never been anything. I've always been. I love a beautiful quote from Nisargadatta Maharaj. He says, when I know that I'm nothing, that is wisdom. When I know that I'm everything, that is love. And between these two, my life moves. You see? So now the fourth stage, we still have the experience of being in a body. We still interact with the world, but with a different mentality. You see? To the point that none of this stuff is believed, even as I continue acting within the experience of being a seeming human being. So we're pointing to that, and not everybody has to go through different four stages. Some people in the very first stage, they may have a glimpse of something and they immediately are jumped to the fourth stage. So there's not a necessity to go from one to the other. Generally speaking, that is how it tends to happen. But in the end, you are always in the fourth stage. As a matter of fact, when you were born, see, being born, that is technically speaking the birth of duality. However, when you're a baby, you are in that stage, in the fourth stage. But then we learn through conditioning that I am this person, this individual, this separate entity, and that's when we turn into what is referred to as a believer. Now I'm a believer. I believe that I am this. You see, when before I am. See, so the baby have all these concepts, and he believes in the concepts, and he uses those concepts to define itself, himself or herself. But sooner or later, those concepts will have to be dropped, because what the baby is searching for is himself or herself or itself. Is searching for the natural beingness, the spacious, the all-encompassing that the baby, well, as a form of a baby is not, but without the conditioning, is the wholeness. You see, that's what he's searching for. But this thing called or label I person gets in the way, which is a thought, right? So finally, after going through all the stages, comes back to that natural beingness, which is also referred to as love. You see? So that's what it is said, that we are what we're looking for. I think what St. Francis of Assisi used to say, what you're looking for is where you're looking from. You see? And that's why, again, we're pointing to what is. And this is, with words, that's the close I can get to when it comes to pointing. Now, within the realm of the seeming human experience, we don't have to get caught into wanting to wake up or awaken or enlightenment or something, because these concepts usually are for the individual. But what you are simply is, and that is direct experience right now, or experiencing, if you want to use that term. I usually call it, is beingness right now. Can you not be? Just rest. Can you not be right now? And the mind is going crazy, is trying to understanding, okay, yeah, I am being. No, but even prior to that, even prior to the thought I'm feeling something, or prior to that, you are a being. That's what it's being reminded of all the time, your being. And it may it may sink in, or I don't know, but at least the seed has been planted. Now all we're noticing is how, again, by habit, we get distracted. So I am, thoughts appear, there's a recognition that thoughts just appear, and if I don't identify with the thoughts, I am being. It's not that I'm returning to being, I've always been. It's just like I notice how there's a tendency to distract with conceptual mind. And then we rest in peace. And whatever we do it from that resting space, in spite of it requires a lot of dynamism or not. We don't know. Again, I don't know how your life will unfold, but we're reminding here that it doesn't matter how life will unfold, I am. And that's how you can live happy, or happily ever after. And don't associate happiness with pleasure, because that's a trap. When we think that happiness looks in a particular way, or peace looks in a particular way, that's a distraction. These are concepts. You are, no matter what seems to be happening in the surface. The ocean does not stop being the ocean, even though some days may be a lot of waves in the surface because there may be a thunderstorm. But the ocean still is the ocean. You see? Well, you still are, even in the surface. There may be movement that may have different labels, I don't know, it doesn't really matter. Crying could be happening, and the mind labels it, oh, that's sadness. No, it's just simply a movement that is happening, or seems to be happening, in the ever-present experience that I am, in the happiness that I am. You see? The surface may look like that. If you don't label it sadness, not a problem. Angry, but if you don't label it anger, not a problem, because you are, you see? And again, these are just movements, but you remain, and that's what we're remembering here. And well, that's what came through, so I hope it served, and as always, may peace permeate the mind so that love can be extended.